people can say what they want about PEDs, and I'm not saying that I think that it's right that someone is doing that. And I'm not saying that I thought it's right that TJ Dillashaw, what he was doing. He got caught. When someone gets caught and they receive a punishment, once they've served that punishment, you've got to go, done. He was the champ.
No, I understand that. I do. And look, the skills, the PEDs don't help your skills.
No.
But a lot of what he does in there is based off of his output. Yeah. His style specifically is based off the output.
You're absolutely right. And I understand that.
And that what he was using was directly related to output, conditioning, cardio, muscle endurance. This is what cyclists use to make sure that they can go the distance at Tour de France. And so when that conversation to be had, that's how he was able to break a lot of people, was because he could have that pace for so long. Don't get me wrong. There's no doubt he's such a fucking talented fighter. His output, his style, the way he switches stances, mixing up his kickboxing and his wrestling together. He's very talented. That's not going to go away, but the endurance to get it done in rounds 4 and 5, we're going to see. And this is going to be the moment of truth, because Cory Sandhagen, I think, will still be there in the 4th and the 5th. It's going to come to a knockdown drag out. But there's been a lot of not bickering. There's been a lot of conversation back and forth between us having conversation with past people that trained with them when they trained together, and what they saw what Cory did against TJ. And TJ, when I talked to him himself, said, I remember what it was like training with him, and I know that I can beat him. And I'm like, well, that was years ago. He's like, doesn't matter. He's like, he hasn't changed in terms of his style of what he's done. Sure, he's tall, long, lanky, all those things. He's like, but I can beat him. He's like, I know I can beat him. But when I talk to other people from not just Alpha Male, but other people that have trained with Cory Sandhagen, they've said, no. It was the other way around. Cory was piecing him up. TJ was a little bit scared to take some shots. TJ was scared to get in there. TJ didn't want to mix it up as much as he normally did against other people. So I'm getting two different sides of the story, and like somewhere in the middle is the truth. But it really just comes down to these are the type of conversations back and forth, the news that you get from one side, the news you get from the other. It really makes this fight interesting. You know, and the fact that TJ's been away for so long, he's got so much to prove. Was it the PEDs that made him successful? I don't think it was, but I think it was the PEDs that helped him get to the point of being able to break guys in the 3rd, 4th, and 5th at a pace that most fighters just couldn't keep up with. You know, and that's why cyclists use EPO and other things to get their muscle endurance and their cardio up to task for things like Tour de France. And that's realistically, like, are we going to see the same Cory or see the same TJ in the 3rd, 4th, and 5th when most people are starting to slow down and settle into the fight? He was picking it up.
But
that's not a skill thing. That's a conditioning.
So now, and here's the sad side of it, because I've heard the exact same things that you've heard about when they trained and what was going on and all of that. It's training. Yeah, it may help one guy feel like he has an advantage, but really in the end, it's when you go under the lights, it's a different story. And so we'll see what happens. But the real problem here is if Cory Sandhagen starts piecing him up and is pushing him in those rounds, people are going to put everything into, there's the difference. TJ wasn't taking something, instead of, look at how good Cory Sandhagen is. Because it could all be just how good Cory Sandhagen is as a fighter.
No, I agree with you. I do. And everyone's going to go right to that simple fact. And here's the thing is it's not true. Like skill, like I said, the skills of which TJ has and his style being the way that it is, if he's getting pieced up, it's because Cory's the better fighter. Where the EPO and the PEDs that were helping him was in the 3rd and the 4th and the 5th round, and in terms of his output, because he knew already that he wasn't going to get tired.
Yeah, he went out there. He went out there knowing that I can push the pace. I can go hard in certain moments. I'm going to recover. It's an advantage. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I said, in this sport, I think if anyone was to try and cheat, that would be something that is very sport specific, especially if you're the champion that cheaters would be trying to use is EPO. Everyone talks about testosterone. Everyone talks about what all these other things. And I'm like, everything that I know of people that have done it or things that I've read up on it is that those are not effective things to use for fighters. You know, the muscle fatigue sets in, they get puffy, they get we've seen past fighters that have been on it from before. You just knew. You're like, all right.
Watch him blow up.
You're turning red.
Watch him blow up.
Yeah, your arms blew up and you're turning red in the chest and the face. Like everything about you, you're like, okay, that's, you know. So this was different. This is a different type. This is that next level of things like, you know, like I said with cyclists, this has to be monitored too, because it's very dangerous from what I understand. From everything I've read on terms of EPO, blood doping, those type of things, it's very dangerous. I really got into that whole Lance Armstrong cheating situation. And when I was using growth hormone, a little bit of testosterone, keeping his levels peak, you know, and then also using EPO and when what?
That's what I heard as well.
That's exactly what he said.
When I was watching, watching his.
I know what you're talking about. You said when you were, which means you were using testosterone.
No.
Those things.
No. If you looked at me, I looked the same throughout my whole career. I always had a little bit of chub on the side.
You had no chub on the side. I was always lean in the stomach.
I had the little love handles. I had those little
Christ. Your idea of a love handle.
Yeah, I know it's true. No, but when I was watching the Lance Armstrong documentaries that he's done, and they were absolutely amazing. Just the breakdowns he was giving you on what he was doing, how he was doing it. And it was just insane to think of all the testing he got tested for too. And still they were like, oh, your levels are right on track or right above. Like he had scientists that were coming in. And to think that someone like TJ, right? Someone like TJ is just doing it. I don't know if he's doing it himself or he had someone monitoring it, but monitoring, he had to have, right? I mean, it's just, everything I've heard about EPO and other is extremely dangerous, like blood doping, like potentially give you a heart attack.
You're messing with the viscosity and the thickness of your blood. It could cause you a big problem. So it's something, if you're going to do it, you're probably going to have someone monitoring what you're doing. So
you would think, but I've known a lot of stupid fighters that they don't monitor anything. They just do this.
I'll take that.
Let's just try it on myself. Yeah, let me just try it on myself. That's insane. But look, overall, I think skill wise, the fight's going to come down to who has the best skills and who can implement their game plan. Sandhagen's going to just I think he's going to stay kind of on the outside because I think he's going to be a little concerned about the takedown, you know, and TJ on top is a dog. He's got good ground and pound. He's heavy on top. He knows how to ride you if you go to all fours. He can sit you to your hip. He does great ground and pound from the side control position. I mean, he's good. There's not really a whole lot of submission threat by Sandhagen. So if he can get to the top position, he'll have success. But for every takedown he misses, that's a notch off of his belt in terms of conditioning. He's going to start to get tired. He's going to start to fatigue, you know, and that also too starts probably mind fucking him a little bit. Like, hey man, when I left, I was able to take everyone down. Now, if I don't get a takedown or two, there's a lot of things going through TJ Dillashaw's mind this fight. He feels like, oh, every time he gets hit, man, I don't recall it being like this. I don't recall, you know, because it was him doing all the output. And so we're going to see if we're going to have the same TJ back. I think probably within the first round and a half.
Yeah, I would say you're about right, but I do think you're going to get a very good TJ Dillashaw out there.
I think you are
too. And exactly what you're saying. You know, TJ, for the most part, you know, turned into a striker in this sport, coming from a wrestling background. I think you're going to see him going back to his roots in this fight. I think you're going to see him actually working at times for takedowns and trying to utilize his hands to get inside, to take Cory down, and to take Cory out of his game. Now, Cory's got a good ground game, though, but he's going to have a hard time in getting TJ off him. He's going to have to utilize the fence a lot, and he's going to have to do a lot of good hard work, which is going to tire him out. But this is as good a matchup as you're going to find that's not a championship fight.
Yeah, I would agree. But like if I was Cory, though, like I was saying earlier, was that he's got to be thinking, man, I should have been getting a title shot next. You know,
I don't go with that. I'm being honest, and I'm saying it this way. Look, Cory is 2 fights off of a loss. Okay, he got beat by Aljo. He got stopped in the first round by Aljo. All right, now great performance by Aljo, not a great performance by Cory. He then came back and had a great performance against Marlon Moraes, and then had a great performance quickly against Frankie Edgar. So this is the type of fight that puts him there. He's got a record of 14-2. You know, he hasn't been in the sport that long, really. You know, to sit there and say, "Oh, I deserved." Yeah, there's a lot of guys in that bantamweight division that are awfully good, and he's one of them. And I think if he gets this win against TJ, I do think he deserves. That's 3 wins off of the loss. Makes sense to me, and it's all big names. Marlon Moraes, Frankie Edgar. It would be TJ Dillashaw if he gets the win. So now you have the argument. I deserve that title shot.
How does TJ get it done?
I think TJ gets it done by being a smart fighter in that he uses a lot of inside and outside movement. He likes to bounce around, and he comes in with his volume shots. He doesn't try to put a ton of power on you. Sometimes he does. You can see when he cracks down, but he tries to just put clean shots on you. I think his game plan in this is he's going to do that same thing, but as he's throwing shots and he sees the hands of Cory Sandhagen coming up to do something, you're going to see him transition, shift down, change levels, get into his legs, and start to go for the takedown. And once he gets the takedown, his thing is not to submit Cory Sandhagen, but it is to damage him on the ground. Put him in a place where you can't be hurt and you can do damage to him and you can wear him out, make him carry your weight, make him feel, hard shots of elbows and things where his head's up against the ground at times. I think that's his game plan. I think it's the smartest. If he goes into this trying to just outstrike Cory Sandhagen, that's a tough order to call because Cory's super long. His stand-up is very good. He's got, as you can go back to, Frank Hitter, and he's done to others. He's got a beautiful, jump knee up the middle. He's got great knees in the clinch. He's got great elbows in the clinch. So you don't really want to get, a lot of times I will give the advantage to the shorter guy in a clinch situation as far as doing damage in MMA at times, because the taller guy, he's in a different position and he can't get things off in the same manner. Cory Sandhagen's not that guy. For a tall guy, he gets a lot of techniques and a lot of damage is done with elbows and strikes on the inside and with his knees. So I don't know. I think TJ needs to work to get him down. I think that's his road to victory.